the traditional lands of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Teonatani, Wendat, and is the home of many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples as part of his intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understandings and new relationships and ask for guidance in all we do. For those committee members, we have the minutes. We've read the minutes. Any questions, omissions, queries of the minutes from last month? Seeing none, a motion to accept the minutes. Seconded. All in favor? Carried. Any pecuniary interest in the files that we are looking at today? Seeing none, excellent. The Committee of Adjustment today will consider 4 minor variances and 1 consent application scheduled under public hearings. The Planning Act requires that a public hearing be held before the Committee of Adjustment decides whether or not to pass a consent or minor variance. The public hearing serves 2 purposes. First, to present to the Committee of Adjustment and the public the details and background to the application, and second, to receive comments from the public and agencies before a decision is made. For each application, the Secretary-Treasurer will summarize the proposal and correspondence on file. Planning staff will provide any other information that is relevant to the application that we may not have before us. From there, the applicant will be provided with an opportunity to make a presentation, answer questions, either in favor or against the proposal. Committee members will then have the opportunity to question the applicant, planning staff, or otherwise. And then we will make a decision on each of the files before us today. Over to you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. Notice of this statutory public hearing for the applications was circulated in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act, RSO 1990, Chapter P13. Notice for these applications was posted on the subject properties on or before April 23rd, 2025, which was at least 14 days prior to the hearing. Notice was delivered to the property owners within 60 meters of the subject properties and circulated by email to those persons, departments, and agencies likely to have an interest in the applications. Notice was also posted to the township website. Included with each notice was a legal description of the property and a description of the posted changes.
Thank you very much. First file of the day, file 25-A05. Can I have a motion to put it on the floor? Said seconded. All right, it is on the floor. Back to you, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. This is a sign variance file for 100 Grand Trunk Road. I'll repeat that. This is a sign variance file for 100 Grand Trunk Road. Next slide, please. Here is a key map of the site. Comments were received from the Public Works Department, Building Department, and the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. Next slide, please. The staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves sign variance number 25-A05 with no conditions on the basis that it meets the 4 tests in accordance with the Planning Act.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Over to planning staff, is there anything that we need to add to know that we don't already currently have in front of us for this file?
Thank you, Chair. I'm the planner on staff for this application, or planner on file. So the purpose and effect of this application is to vary the sign bylaw, section 9.2.2, which has a maximum alphanumeric character height of 0.76 meters. And the proposed signs on the property will be up to 1.68 meters. And this is a variance of 0.92 meters. And the effect of this application is to permit the standard height of branded signs on buildings in the commercial plaza and to keep the signs proportional to the buildings. So here you can see a more detailed view of the site plan, including the food land. The bottom left is the LCBO, and the bottom right is the McDonald's. And with the elevation drawings, you can see that the text, despite the fact that it is much larger than what we permit, on standard is very proportional to the size of the building and very readable. I have some site photos here where I've marked the approximate area of the signs in yellow, and you can see from the street, from Highway 26, they're really quite small, and even closer to the building, it remains proportional. Here you have the LCBO with the proposed sign approximate area, and then west on Highway 26 also. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. Is there any representative from the applicant? Seeing none. Is there any questions from the committee to the planning staff on this file? Yes, sir.
Yeah, through the chair, Colin, I just, the LCBO, and then there's going to be a sign on each side of the building, one facing south, one facing north.
Through the chair, that's correct. Also one facing east and west.
East
There's
and
one on all four sides.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on this file? Is there any appetite to change the motion that is before us? All right. A vote on said motion that is on the floor. Vote yea or nay. Yea. All in favor, unanimous. It's unanimous today. All right. Screaming right along. I know that you're gonna tell them there's a 20-day appeal period on this, right? Perfect. Screaming right along to file 25-A06, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance file for 7642-3637 Side Road. Next slide, please. Here is a key map of the site. Comments were received from the Public Works Department, Building Department, and Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. Next slide, please. Staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves minor variance number 25-A06 with conditions on the basis that it meets the 4 tests in accordance with the Planning Act. 1, that the owner apply to the municipality to update civil and/or 911 addressing for the subject lands to include the new accessory dwelling unit to the satisfaction of the Planning and Building Department. Number 2, that the owner apply for and receive a building permit application for conversion of the existing accessory building to support human habitation, example, accessory dwelling unit, to the satisfaction of the Township Building Department.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Is there any comments from the planning staff to add to the file that we have before us?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We can keep going through the presentation. So next slide, please. In terms of purpose, the purpose of the application to amend section 2.35F of the Township zoning bylaw. This section speaks to prohibited uses in all zones, which specifies that human habitation is not permitted in accessory buildings. The applicant is proposing to utilize the existing accessory building for human habitation with the inclusion of accessory dwelling unit in it. So therefore, the variance is to recognize deficiency through the variance. In terms of the effect, the application is basically to permit the existing accessory building to be used as an accessory dwelling unit. Next slide. Here's just a brief site plan of the property. So you can see it along the frontage of the property to the south, the existing 1.5 story dwelling with the proposed or the existing accessory building to be converted to an accessory dwelling unit located to the rear of that structure. Next slide. Here's a floor plans of the site. So the existing accessory building does have a ground floor and second floor area. Combined once converted, it will have a total gross area of 89 square meters. Next slide. And here's just some site photos. So the one on the left, it depicts the existing structure that is to be converted to an accessory dwelling unit. With the one photo on the right is showing the existing primary dwelling in the foreground with the existing accessory building in the background of this shot. Next slide. This is just a site photo confirming that the sign was posted on the property in accordance with the Planning Act. And that is the extent of the presentation, but happy to address any questions.
All right, I got ahead of myself. I do need a motion to accept this file on the floor. Seconded. All right, discussion. Do we have anyone from the family applying? Yes, sir. The podium is yours. Do you have anything to add other than what we already have, other than to say hi? All right, just stay there. Any questions from the committee to either the applicant or the planning staff for this file? Yes, sir.
Yeah, through the chair, I just wonder who can answer. I'm assuming this is going to become a shared driveway then when both buildings are used for habitation? So there's one to the west of the main house as well? Oh, okay. Wasn't depicted on here and I didn't notice that the day I drove by. So thank you.
My understanding is that's the condition for addressing the 911 addressing of the second driveway, right? On the condition? Perfect. Any other questions to either the applicant or planning staff? We put the motion to vote. Unanimous, sir. There's a 20-day appeal period, at which time the secretary of the building department will become your best friend. All right. Next file, 25-A07, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance file for 7578 3637 Side Road. Next slide, please. Here is a key map of the site. Comments were received from the Public Works Department, Building Department, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, and a resident. Next slide, please. Staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves minor variance number 25-A07 with conditions on the basis that it meets the 4 test in accordance with the Planning Act. 1, that the owner be required to conform to zoning bylaw 06-54, specifically section 2.15.2, respecting number of driveways permitted. 2, that the owner obtain an entrance permit from the Township Public Works Department if required. 3, that upon fulfillment of all other conditions, the second dwelling agreement be deemed obsolete and the related security in the amount of $5,000 be returned to the owner. 4, that the owner obtain updated 911 addressing for the subject lands to include the new accessory dwelling unit to the satisfaction of the township.
Thank you, Madam Secretary.
You're welcome.
Can we put the recommendation motion on the floor to open discussion? Seconded. All right, it's open for discussion. Planning staff, do you have anything to add?
Thank you, Chair. Just to run over the purpose and effect, you will see there are a number of things that were requested to be varied through this application, and mainly because it's an existing house. So the maximum habitable living space, accessory building located in the front yard setback, an accessory building located relative to the primary building, maximum height of accessory buildings. And I may have missed, no, seems to be it. Oh, yeah, uses prohibited in all zones, and the maximum gross floor area of all accessory buildings. The effect of this application is to permit the existing dwelling, now an accessory building, as an accessory dwelling unit. Next slide shows the red outline as the subject building to this application. So you can see where the new dwelling has been built, and in the red is the existing dwelling that will become the accessory dwelling unit on the property. Just some photos. So looking west on the 3637 side road, that's that yellow building. Next slide shows the new structure looking north and then northwest. And then the sign that was posted on the property. And available for any questions that committee may have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I take it you're a representative, sir.
Yes, Mr. Chair and committee, my name is Andrew Piscuso. I'm agent on behalf of the owner of the property, Mr. Forrest Todd, who's in the audience as well. I expect, I'm hoping this is kind of a quick one, but as well as the other two that have gone through, just to reiterate that this purpose is obviously to permit the existing dwelling to stay. We think it's a nice historic home. it will become a detached accessory building unit. We think it's a perfectly good dwelling, and it doesn't make good planning sense to get rid of a habitable home when we're in a housing crisis. So we're requesting relief, as Rosalind has indicated, for a number of provisions. However, it is an existing home, and so it is in the front yard as opposed to being in a rear yard. It's my opinion that none of the relief that we're requesting before you today would have a negative impact on the property or the surrounding neighborhood. I'm not aware of any concerns the neighbors have presented. In fact, I believe there's a majority of supporting letters from them. I'm not aware of any concerns from staff, the NBCA, or any other agencies. I'm obviously here asking for the committee to approve the minor variance. I'm going to bring your attention to the first two conditions that are listed in the report. So staff have indicated a couple of conditions related to the entrances. And I'm not sure if staff were made aware upon the writing of the report that the two entrances have been in existence for quite some time prior to the existing bylaw. I can provide aerial photographs to the committee, which indicates that the two entrances have been active for more than 23 years, back to the aerial photography that was taken back in 2002. So it's my respectful submission that the first two conditions of consent are actually unnecessary and kind of a moot point. So I would request that they be removed. But if council wishes to continue along with those two conditions and approve, I'm not going to be appealing the decision. So with that, I'm here to answer any questions and obviously asking, as I said before, for you to support the committee, the decision.
Excellent. Is there any questions from committee members to either planning staff or the representative for this file? Yes, sir.
Through the chair, and can you outline that second condition that you're concerned with and your thoughts on that?
So the second condition requires the owner to obtain an entrance permit if required. That's the specific wording. So it's my respectful submission again that both of the entrances are existing, and therefore there would be no need to apply for a new application for an entrance permit. They're both active entrances currently. They're legal non-complying. If they don't have an entrance permit, then there would be no need to apply for a new one. That's my respectful submission.
Through the chair, and my next question would be to our planning department. How do they feel about that?
Thank you. Through the chair. Again, I did go back myself to look at the air photos, and as a previous use, I did see that there was a second entrance. We're here to help try to get properties into conformity, and so that there isn't any sort of issues in the future. However, I guess that'll be the committee's decision if they want to remove those conditions or not. So.
Chair, I do agree, Andrew, it's a beautiful house that exists, but I would also like the planning department to state these are probably the largest variances we will allow. Are you comfortable in your professional opinion that the variances of 124 square meters, 3 meters, and 391 meters square are minor in nature?
Yes, my planning report was clearly outlined that. Thank you.
I do have a question to the planning staff. If we could go back to the conditions column. So on condition number 1 and 2, right about the driveways. If it's a housekeeping item that we're updating the township files that there are indeed 2 driveways there, is there any cost to those conditions to the owner?
Well, right now, I guess normally if as the agent has suggested is they're legal non-conforming. So legal non-conforming status is obviously binding on the owner to prove. So we're welcome to accept any sort of proof that, you know, those things existed, and typically an entrance permit has a cost, and if they wanted to apply for another minor variance to recognize a second dwelling, that would have a or second entrance, that would also have a cost. But again, like typically legal non-conforming is proven through the owner.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions? None. And my last question, you understand the conditions as they are written, right? Okay.
Very clearly, yes, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
The motion before us is to accept the recommendation as written. Is there a vote on that recommendation? Yay? Yay?
I might put forth a different motion.
Shoot.
Okay. So my motion would be to accept the recommendation. However, I would allow the applicant to not have to adhere to the requirements of 1 and 2.
So you started with the word amendment. You would like to amend the
I would like to
condition.
amend the conditions that they do not include number 1 and number 2, and that I would approve the variance application and minus that requirement. Those
So that you're
requirements.
looking at condition number 1 and 2 to remove?
Correct.
Perfect. Look at that. I even know. So we must first vote on the, yes, ma'am.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I would suggest that conditions, not the recommended condition 1 and 2 are really notes to the applicant and their agent. So compliance with the zoning bylaw and the obligation to obtain an entrance permit are subject to, you know, their other applicable law. They're required regardless. So it's really immaterial if they show up in the condition. They're intended as notes here. So compliance again with entrance permit requirements of the township and compliance with zoning is required regardless. So it's just a courtesy, the 2 conditions.
Yep.
Through the chair, my understanding was if it was proven it was pre-existing, that wouldn't be a requirement.
Through you, Mr. Chair. That's true. However, that would be a separate requirement that planning staff would work through with Mr. Pescuso. We'd be happy to have a conversation about the legal non-conforming possibility of that aspect of the 2 driveways.
Okay. I'll listen to
Mr.
Andrew.
Chair, may I ask a question?
Yes.
So the root cause of my concern is related to condition 3, which I'll read verbatim, or I'll speak verbatim on, is basically that my client has provided a $5,000 deposit to remove the accessory dwelling upon habiting the primary house. And so obviously my client wants that money's returned. So my concern on behalf of my client is if he doesn't satisfy conditions 1 and 2, that he may not receive the $5,000 back.
I read that, yes.
Okay, so if we don't go through a new minor variance application process and we don't apply for 2 new entrance permits, we don't know whether an entrance permit has been approved for either of those entrances because they were historic entrances.
Mhm.
So there is a cost and a process associated with that. And my client obviously wants to move forward with habiting his dwelling. So those are my concerns. So if staff can tell me that they're not going to require me to go through another minor variance process and not to go through an entrance permit process and return the $5,000, then I digress on this topic. Like, please don't worry about clearing conditions 1 and 2 or removing them if they're just a note.
Colin, can you bring her back to the conditions again, please? Just so they're fresh and top of mind to the committee. Thank you. So my understanding is that 1 and 2 fall under other respective laws, and amending them out of the recommendation is clearly not recommended by the staff. But I am willing to propose an amendment that in condition number 3, that you remove the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words before the comma, right? And make it a condition that at the end of this current process, that the owner is returned his money from his previous portion, previous course of action, right? And he carries out this course of action and fulfills the conditions as stated, right? If that does create another $600, I can't amend that out. But what I can say is my amendment would be the words that upon fulfillment of all other conditions be removed from condition 3. That way the $5,000 is not contingent on any other process but completing this one. Does that make sense to the committee?
Does to me, as long as the planning department agree on it.
Does the planning department have an issue with that change in condition number 3? Yes, Amy.
If I can answer it, I think that that amendment is fully within the purview of committee for sure. So no objection from me. I would defer back to Roslyn as the professional planner who wrote the report. So just an administrative piece from me, so.
Perfect. Give me 1 second to confer with Madam Secretary. If we can amend that so that the first 6 words of condition 3 is not in that, I'm not sure how you write that up before we put it to the floor.
So essentially, we can say no.
All right, we will vote on the amendment to our recommendation, which is that those words on condition 3 be removed, the first 6 words. A vote on that amendment. I'm looking for one. All right, seconder. In favor? All in favor? Unanimous? Perfect. Step 1. You're still writing?
Yes.
Okay, I can only go as fast as the secretary can take minutes.
I can.
You're content? All right. We now have the motion, the recommended motion in front of us to accept minus those 6 words in condition number 3. All in favor? Unanimous, sir. We're doing well today. So there's a 20-day appeal period for your neighbors, but at which time the building department, again, will see you through to the conclusion of this process that we have before us today. All good? No problem. Back to Grand Trunk Road, minor variance 25-A08, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. This is a minor variance file for 100 Grand Trunk Road. Next slide, please. Here is a key map of the site. Comments were received from the Public Works Department, Building Department, and the Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority. Next slide, please. Staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves minor variance number 25-A08 with no conditions on the basis that it meets the 4 tests in accordance with the Planning Act.
Thank you very much. Can we get a mover and seconder for this recommendation to put on? Yes and yes. All right, discussion time. Planning staff, do you have anything to add to this minor variance file?
Thank you, Chairman. Just the purpose and effect of this application is to allow an encroachment of a staircase landing into the required yard. So there is a bit of a variance for that because the landing and stairs are larger than what the bylaw currently allows. So the effect of the application is to permit a staircase to a mechanical room to encroach into the side yard setback. And the site plan. Sorry. So the staircase is shown in the blue box and then a little bit of a blowout or blow up of that staircase. So, and then site photos are great because they kind of show exactly what we're talking about. And yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you very much.
you.
Do we have a representative for this file today? Seeing none. Oh,
I believe that they are online.
they are what?
Online on our Zoom meeting, but my screen is being weird, so you might not be able to see them, but they might be on this screen behind you.
Hi, Colin, and through you, Mr. Chair. My name is Nicholas Moore with Mainline Planning. I understand that staff is recommending approval. At this time, I have nothing further to add. But if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. It's a lovely voice from above here, since we cannot
you.
see you. Are there any questions on the recommendation we have to anyone? Seeing none. A motion to accept the recommendation given. Yes, sir. Unanimous, sir. 20-day appeal period on your staircase issue, and the building staff will be your best friend by the end of that period. All good?
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Have a good day, everyone.
Have a great day. Thank you for joining us from the heavens. Consent file 25-B02, Madam Secretary.
Thank you, Chair. This is a consent file for 31 Elizabeth Street East. Next slide, please. Here's a key map of the site. Comments were received from the Public Works Department, Building Department, Nottawasaga Valley Conservation Authority, and Hydro One. Next slide, please. The staff recommendation is that the Committee of Adjustment of the Township of Clearview hereby approves consent number 25-B02 with conditions on the basis that it meets the 4 tests in accordance with the Planning Act. 1, that the applicant meets all the requirements, financial and otherwise, of the municipality, including servicing bylaw charges and payment of the fee of $150 for each certificate of consent to be issued. 2, that the applicant provides a description of the land which may be registered under the requirements of the Registry Act or Land Titles Act as applicable. 3, that the parcel of land to be severed, approximately 414 meters squared, from 31 Elizabeth Street East is conveyed into the same name as the owner of the abutting land to the west, 29B Elizabeth Street East, and being assessed as 43290300010725505 to the satisfaction of the township. 4, that the applicant's solicitor obtains a cancellation certificate from the township to ensure that the severed and receiving parcel, 29B Elizabeth Street East, merge as one parcel. The cancellation certificate to be obtained and all instruments be registered in order and manner to the satisfaction of the township solicitor. 5, that any mortgage on the property be discharged from any lands being severed, and for any lands to be added to a lot with a mortgage, that mortgage shall be extended onto the additional land, and the solicitor provide an undertaking in writing that this condition will be fulfilled.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Can we get a motion, a motion or a seconder to put this on the floor for discussion? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is open for discussion. Over to the planning staff. Do you have anything to add to what we see today?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, just kind of quickly walk through, kind of give some context for the purpose and effect. So what's being proposed today is a lot addition. So the applicant is seeking to sever a portion of land from the retained parcel, which is 31 Elizabeth Street East, and add it to the receiving parcel as 29B, the adjacent parcel known as 29 Elizabeth Street East. So following the lot addition, 31 Elizabeth Street East, which is a larger parcel located to the east of the existing of the two properties, will have a frontage of approximately 32 meters and a total area of approximately 1,627 square meters, and it contains an existing dwelling and accessory structures. The severed portion has approximately 8.2 meters of frontage on Elizabeth Street East and will be approximately 414 square meters in size, with that going to the receiving parcel, which is currently 13.5 meters with frontage and approximately 685 square meters in size, which contains one unit of an existing single or semi-detached dwelling. Next slide. And basically the effect of that application, as indicated, is a lot addition, which would be to add the severed portion to the retained portion. And I can show you a map. So next slide. So currently 31 Elizabeth Street East is comprised of the red and yellow hatched areas. So the proposed law addition seeks to sever the yellow part from 31 Elizabeth Street East and add it to 29B Elizabeth Street East, depicted in blue here. Next slide. Here's just some site photos of the property to try to give a little bit of context of the existing property or dwelling at 31 Elizabeth Street East. The central photo is kind of showing the area that's to be severed, located between the two existing buildings, with this photo on the right being a photo of the existing semi-detached dwelling located on 29B Elizabeth Street East. Next slide. Here's a photo of the existing fence and retaining wall that's located, that's utilized by the owner of 29B Elizabeth Street East, but it's partially located on 31 Elizabeth Street East, which is one of the intents of the proposed law addition currently. And then finally, just a photo of the sign showing that notice was posted in accordance with the Planning Act. Next slide. Yep. So that concludes the presentation. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Is there a representative to this file, young lady? You've been sitting so patiently at the back. All right.
There we go. How's it better?
Any questions to other planning staff or the applicant on this file? None. Do we have a vote on the recommendation that is before us at this moment? What's that? Carried, unanimous. Well done, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
No problem. That was our last file in the public portion. We have new business. Any new business, Madam Secretary, to discuss? Seeing
None that I'm aware
none.
of. Next meeting, I
And-
guess?
Next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, June 11th.
Correct.
That's my birthday.
Is it?
Yes, you picked my
Very
birthday.
nice. We'll sing to you.
I will be here on time. I know I will. I will clearly adjourn the meeting at 3:47 of the Committee of Adjustment here in Clearview Township. I thank you all for coming out. It was a wonderful meeting. Cheers.